The Art of Spending Money. The Art of Spending Money, a detailed narration. In his landmark book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel masterfully explained that our relationship with wealth is governed not by spreadsheets and formulas, but by the soft, often irrational, science of human psychology. He taught millions how to think about earning, saving, and investing. Now, in his highly anticipated follow-up, The Art of Spending Money, Housel completes the circle, tackling the other, and arguably more complex side of the financial equation: how to deploy that wealth to build a genuinely better life. If his first book was about accumulating resources, this one is about thoughtfully depleting them. The Art of Spending Money is not a budget planner or a how-to guide for finding travel deals. Instead, it is a profound, 1,000-word philosophical inquiry into why we spend and how we can transform money from a source of status anxiety into a tool for freedom, contentment, and peace of mind. Housel's central premise is that spending is an art, not a science. There is no universal, correct way to spend money because every individual's values, fears, and desires are a unique cocktail mixed from their personal history. What brings one person immense joy may bring another crippling anxiety. Because it is an art, the goal is not to optimize every dollar, but to use money to create a life that feels authentic and minimizes future regret. The Great Disconnect: Why We Are So Bad at Spending. Housel begins by dissecting the core problem. We are trained to earn, but we are not trained to spend. In fact, most of the social cues we receive about spending are actively harmful. The most potent of these toxic cues is the confusion between admiration and envy. When we see someone in a luxury car, we think, if I had that car, people would admire me. Housel argues this is a fundamental miscalculation. What we actually feel when we see that car is envy, and we rarely, if ever, think about the person driving it. We just use the car as a benchmark for our own desires. We chase a feeling, admiration, that our spending will never actually deliver, trapping ourselves in a status game that cannot be won. This leads to the trap of social debt. As people earn more, they often move into social circles with higher spending norms. They feel an implicit obligation to keep up: a bigger house, more expensive vacations, private schools. This isn't spending for joy, it's spending as a tax for social cohesion. This social debt can be more crippling than actual financial debt, as it ties your identity and your paycheck to the expectations of others, effectively canceling out the very freedom your money was supposed to buy. The frugality trap: when saving becomes a sickness. Perhaps the most poignant insight is reserved for those who were successful students of the psychology of money. Many people who master the art of saving, investing, and delayed gratification become so good at it that they develop frugality inertia. They build a substantial nest egg, only to find themselves psychologically incapable of spending it. They have spent decades viewing spending as a liability, a loss, a risk, or a foolish indulgence. Their brain is wired to see a declining balance as a failure. As a result, they hoard resources well past the point of any reasonable financial need, living a life of self-imposed scarcity, even in abundance. They have won the game of accumulation but forgotten what they were playing for. Housel argues that for these individuals, learning to spend money on things that bring them joy or reduce stress is the final, most difficult, and most important financial skill to learn. The true purpose of money: buying back your life. If money is not for status and not just for hoarding, what is its ultimate purpose? Housel's answer is unwavering: freedom. The highest and best use of money, the true art of spending, is to buy control over your time. It is the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. This, Housel argues, is the most valuable commodity in the world, and it's the one thing money can definitively purchase. This freedom manifests in several ways: the freedom to say no to a project you don't believe in or a job you despise, the freedom to wait for the right opportunity rather than grasping at the first one that comes along, the freedom to handle emergencies, a car repair, a medical bill, without it causing a life-altering crisis. This, Housel notes, is peace of mind, and it's one of the best things you can buy. The freedom to be spontaneous, to take a trip, or to spend an entire afternoon with your children without glancing at your email. This reframes the entire concept of wealth. Housel distinguishes between being rich and being wealthy. To be rich is to have a high current income, allowing you to buy a lot of things. To be wealthy is to have options, independence, and control over your time. He notes that he has met many rich people who are not wealthy. Their lives are a slave to a punishing schedule required to maintain their high consumption lifestyle. The ultimate goal is not to be rich, but to be wealthy. Finding your art, principles for better spending. Housel does not provide rules, but he does offer principles for finding your own art of spending. First, spend to minimize future regret. When you are 80, what will you wish you had spent money on? The answer is almost never a slightly nicer car. It is almost always experiences with people you love, investing in your health, or taking a chance on a dream. This becomes a powerful filter for any major purchase. Second, understand the difference between the 5-minute high and lifetime contentment. Many purchases, especially luxury goods, provide a quick dopamine hit that fades almost immediately. Lifetime contentment, by contrast, often comes from things that are free or low cost. A strong marriage, a walk in the woods, a good book, and a quiet mind. The true art of spending is using your money to secure the time and space for these high contentment, low-cost activities. Third, be rich and anonymous. The happiest people, Housel observes, are often the ones who are quietly compounding. They are rich and anonymous. They are not using their money as a yardstick or a megaphone. They are using it as a tool, quietly, to build a life that is secure, independent, and free from the need to impress anyone. In the end, the art of spending money is a profound call for self-awareness. It asks you to stop and define what enough means to you, independent of what it means to your neighbor. It is a guide to using money not to rewrite your story, but to give you the freedom to live it on your own terms. Narrated from Marco Bassi Studio. Thanks for listening. Like, follow, and subscribe.